Hello, my name is Juliana and I'm Deborah at NodeOps. Today we'll be kicking off the NodeOps virtual DPIN hackathon. It's super exciting. It is a 4-week hackathon starting from October 1st, yesterday. We already have a bunch of pre-registers and we have 4 tracks going. The prizes are going to be 5,000 USD and there's going to be 5 projects. The first prize is going to be 2,000. Second prize, 1,250, third prize, 800, fourth, 550, fifth, 400. And we are going to have 4 tracks. The tracks are going to be AI, DeFi, tooling, and open track. So if you want to sign up, here is the QR code. Right, down below, that is the QR code to sign up. Go ahead and scan that, sign in. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how you're going to win. First, we talk about the $5,000 bounty, as well as the tracks. And then we will talk about what will make your project stand out. And then we will do a hands-on workshop on how to Dockerize your app and submit it to the NodeOps template marketplace. It's all very simple. We can get it done in about 30, 40 minutes. And if you're only staying for just a little bit, I highly recommend that you make sure that when you submit your project, it is good documentation. Make sure that clarity is key. You have written a good description, a good use case, a good video demo. And even if you submit a great project and the documentation is not great, things get lost in translation. So that is the key. So without further ado, let's jump into the tracks. Okay. So running from October 1st to October 31st, we have $5,000 in prizes, and there are going to be 4 tracks. First track is AI. And so the projects are going to be anything leveraging AI to solve real-world problems. For DeFi projects, it's anything that is blockchain-based financial projects, such as like anything that has to do with lending, trading, or yield farming. We also have a track for tooling. Tooling is anything creative that has to do with social media or content creation. You can also do an open track. Open track is a catch-all for every project that doesn't fit in the top 3. Prizes are going to be spread across multiple tracks. And so we're going to be judging you by how applicable your prize or your project is, and how in your documentation. Okay. So next we're going to get into the workshop. So if you've never created a Docker image before, you'll need to start with a project. Here I have a project that you can take a look at. So let me share my... Here we go. So going to, okay, we went through Hackathon Challenge, and we're going to talk about templates and what that means, as well as how it's revenue generating. Okay, so let's start with this sample project. So starting from here, this is an open source project that we have ready for you that you can play with if you wanted to Dockerize your project. Every step that we do today, you can replicate with your own project. So once you have this Git cloned, you will have a copy of the code base. And then after you install and start, we're going to take a look at the Docker file, and then also how to build it locally. We'll be running these commands to build it locally, as well as to build it publicly. we'll be generating an access token with Docker Hub and then running these commands. And then we're going to submit it to the community marketplace. So pretty straightforward. That's pretty much everything. And now I'm going to take you over into my desktop so we can do all of these steps together. So back to the code base. This is the project that we're looking at. First, we're going to do is download Docker. So in order to build with Docker, if you see on my bottom right, I have Docker open over here. If you don't already have Docker, you can just go to Docker Get Started. Right here. And then go ahead and install Docker. After you install, you're going to sign in. And when you sign in, you are going to see this page. So once Docker is signed in, you've got it installed. I'm on a MacBook right now. I have Docker Desktop running in the background, and you can also see Docker up here in the toolbar. And that means Docker is running in the background. The next step is to get your IDE set up. So after you've signed in, you can come into your account and then go into settings and come down to personal access token. Then you're going to generate a new token and give it a description. Like this is going to be my local machine, so local MacBook. I would probably not set an expiration date, and then make sure you set it to read, write, and delete, and then click generate. After that, and then when prompted, you're going to paste your personal access token. So I've already done this in my IDE. You take this command and then go into your IDE. I'm using Cursor. And let me exit. Okay. You're going to paste here, hit enter, and then log in with your username into your IDE. So once you've already logged in, we can move into building your Docker image. So working locally, you would start with this command. So this project already has a Docker file in it. This is a really basic application. It is Tailwind and Next.js, very simple. And in my Docker file, you can totally use AI to do this. Everyone's vibe coding these days. Go ahead, ask Cursor, Grok, or Claude, any Copilot you have, to just generate a Docker file for you, taking a look at your project. From here, it's just a set of instructions on how to containerize your project. So working with Docker is fantastic because you've containerized your application into a closed environment. You have all the dependencies there. You have all the environment variables. You have all the ports, and it just runs in this container that is easy to orchestrate, which means when it goes down or if there's any type of connection, it's a very resilient form of deployment. So with this said, this project already has a working Docker file, which I've tested locally, but we can totally do that together. And once you already generate the Docker file, you can now run it locally. So to run it locally, you use this command. Docker build -t, and then you give your template, give your image a name. I'm going to call it my app. And then you're going to tell it this directory. So that's what the dot does. The dot is saying this directory. And then I'm going to hit enter. And what that does is it takes the Docker file that I've generated and then builds an image locally. This is just running on my local machine. It's not connected to Docker Hub. It's not connected to your account. So this is the build. If it's successful, you will get no errors and it will look like this. The next step is to run it. So to run it, you have to have Docker running in their background. And then to run it, you would type in Docker run -p for port. And then this is something called port mapping. My application runs on port 3000 by default. And from the container to how I'm going to access it through the endpoint, I also want it to run it through port 3000. So just like that. And then I'm going to give it the name of my app. So I named it my app. And then hit enter. Okay. And if it's successful, you will get a URL. Okay. I clicked on it, and here is my app. I'm on localhost 3000. My app is running, and it's just a simple task manager. So I can say like, walk the dog, eat lunch, check it off, and also delete. So this application is totally open source. You can see the source code here. You can also follow us on Twitter, Build on NodeOps. Speaking of which, let me make sure that QR code is here. There. All right. On the top left, you're going to see a QR code for the hackathon. From there, you can find the QR code for the Discord. So I'm going to flash it real quick. Here's the QR code to our Discord channel for any of you builders out there. We also have a Telegram channel for builders. I'm going to switch it back to the hackathon, and that's going to be the QR code that can lead you everywhere. Okay. So from there, we can also look at the YouTube tutorial on how to build this, and we have docs as well. So what we've demonstrated here is that your Docker container is running. The next step is to publish this container. So to publish, it's going to be, we're going to bring you back to the command line. And I'm going to exit this project. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to run this command. In order for this command to work, you have to be logged into Docker with your personal access token. If it doesn't work, then this command will not work. So very similar to the build command that we did before, to build it for the world, you're going to type in docker build -t. And then this time you're going to pass it your username. So once you've signed into Docker, you'll have a username. I'm going to type mine in, and then I'm going to give my app a name. This name is public facing. So you want to make sure that what you're choosing makes sense. So I probably used my app before. I think I'll start with, let's call it, to-do list. And then we're going to pass it a tag. So a tag is a version number for your image. You can absolutely update your Docker image. And each time you make a change to your code base, you can rebuild a new Docker image and pass it a new tag. So it's a good version number. For me, I'll start with the number 0.1. There's a lot of versioning conventions. You can do major builds, minor builds, micro builds. Some people just do macro number 1. I would do 0.1 as my first tag. It's this directory, and then I'm going to do --push because I want to push it into my Docker repository, my Docker registry. And then this is very important, I'm going to build it for the platform. By default, this will build for ARM64, and with NodeOps, we only work with AMD64. So you want to make sure you're typing in Linux AMD64. All right. That command looks pretty good. I'm going to hit enter. So what's happening now is that it's building just like we did before locally, except it is publishing it to my public Docker account. Once it is public, then anyone in the world can pull down an image of my app. This step does take a while, so while publishing, let me announce a bonus bounty. So our main hackathon is the DeepIn Virtual Hackathon happening for 4 weeks. We will have a midpoint check-in October, and then we also have a bonus bounty. We have a $600 fee with AWS's largest vibe coding hackathon events. Here we are. This is our logo over here, NodeOps, and our bounty is right here. Pulling it in. Okay. Now we have $600 open for the AWS Virtual Hackathon, and everything you do for our hackathon, you can absolutely take and apply to AWS's hackathon, and you can apply for both bounties at the same time. Now let's check real quick if the project is complete. Okay, we are still building, we're still publishing. So I'm going to change the QR code up above to the channel. So feel free to join our Discord channel. Our Discord channel and our Telegram channel are for builders, and they're monitored by our developers. If you have any questions, or if you're looking for a teammate, if you're not unsure what to build, we're here to answer any questions. Also, if you have some time, I'm trying to get our YouTube subscribers to 4 digits. So this is our YouTube channel, top left. We are just under 70 subscribers from 1,000. So do me a favor and totally hit subscribe. It'll make me very happy. Okay, awesome. So we're done. We've built it. This means it is okay. I think this deserves a celebratory. Yay! Okay, so if it is public, that means you should be able to see it publicly. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let's go back to my account. So remember, we created an account and we signed up here. I'm going to stop that. Okay. Coming back to my personal Docker Hub. Oops. I should be able to see the Docker image that I have publicly published. So here it is under my account repositories. I see it on the very first one, Juliana piece / to-do list, published just 2 minutes ago. It is public. You could make this private. Private means you have, it's not something that the public would be able to pull, but mine is public. And if we click into it, I can see that my versioning tag is here, 0.1. It was pushed just 2 minutes ago. So now that we have a public Docker image, we are going to submit it to the NodeOps marketplace. To submit it, you just go to cloud.nodeops.network. And then you're going to make an account. For me, I usually sign up with my MetaMask, but you can use a number of wallets as well as your email address. Let me share my screen again. Okay, here we go. So once you're in this screen, come down to My Templates on the left, and then you're going to click Create Template. If this is your first time, you have to fill in a first time contributors form, which is really quick, and then you're going to click Create Template. And then you're going to fill out first we're going to upload your template image. This is kind of like a thumbnail. So I'm going to go to desktop. Where's my desktop? And I have an icon right here. And then I'm going to give my template a name. This is your app name. So we called it To-Do List. I'm going to call it To-Do List Manager. And then I'm going to give it a very good description. So the minimum is 100 characters. And next, we're going to select a category. You can select up to 5. We're going to set up an overview for it. And there is a minimum of 250 characters. And then we have to list our use cases. Next, I would include a tutorial link on how to run my tutorial, my app, my GitHub link, my Twitter URL, my Telegram URL, and then we're going to, and then we'll head into the next step where we will set up the template YAML. Okay, so let's get started. So under description, I'm going to write, I'm just going to wing it. So this is a to-do list manager. All right, I think that's a pretty decent description. It meets the minimum. Under categories, I'm going to choose automation. Let's call it other. Others and automation. And then under overview, I would choose I'm just going to paste this ready-made one over here. Cool. Steps 1, 2, 3. All right. That's 310 characters. That hits just the minimum. Okay, then we're going to move on to use cases. For use cases, you want to, after description overview, which is how you kind of describe your application, you want to make sure that people understand how to use your app. So for me, my use cases are going to be tracking tasks, okay, you can check off, delete, drag and order. And since it's a very simple app, I don't have too much to say, so I think I'm just going to duplicate this to meet the minimum. Okay, perfect. Next, you're going to need a tutorial link. So tutorial link would be, for this hackathon, we kind of require a video demo. So what that's going to look like is probably like you would take a quick screen share of how you would use your application, how to deploy it, and how to set it up. So upload these. You can set up like a YouTube video, or maybe like or upload it to Google Drive. Whatever it is, it's going to be a link. Optional, you can also upload your GitHub URL, your Twitter URL, Telegram URL. And in order to submit to the marketplace, it should not be private. So I have to make sure I toggle this off. For the hackathon, you want your template to be public. For this option, you have the ability to hide your YAML. We've had cases where people were copying each other's YAMLs and submitting it to the marketplace. So you can keep your privacy here. When I'm ready, I'm going to hit next. Now we're going to select, this is the last step, is setting up the YAML for your template. Right off the bat, you have a sample YAML over here, which you can copy and edit as you please. So going from the top to the bottom, very similar to how we set it up before, there is a version number. And generally, you want this to match the version of your Docker image as you're submitting it. They don't have to match, but this is how it's tracked in the NodeOps DPIN infrastructure. So as people use your template and as you update your application, people can version up and you can track the version that you've submitted. Then under services, line number 7 is the name of your application. So for this, it would be my to-do list app. And then under image, Testing, can you hear me? If you can hear me, say something. Okay, awesome. I don't know where you guys lost me. I guess I'll start from the YAML. Yeah. Okay, we'll start from the YAML. So what we've just done is, I think my screen was sharing, right? We've gone through the version number. We've set the app name at line number 7. We've set our public image that we just published. And everything looks good here, as well as the port that my app is running on. I also went through environment variables. My app doesn't have any environment variables, so I deleted it. But if it was something that you're going to go through, let me do undo. Okay. If you were setting environment variables, you would just set the name here as well as the value over here. You can also give your environment variable a default and some helpful information. The curly brackets over here mean that whenever the user is coming to deploy your application, they're going to be prompted to enter a value. Okay. And you can also set a default, of course. But I don't have any, so I'm going to delete that. And then under resource usage, that was very important. Under resource usage, I've set it to CPU 200 and memory 400. And so you can read the green text for helpful information on what that means. These values are how much your application needs to run. Now, my app is very simple. It doesn't need a lot. And these values just mean that I have to set them in a way where my app doesn't crash. And then it also doesn't cost too much for the end user. So it's a balancing act. If the values were very high, for example, it would cost a lot more for the users to deploy your application. So you need to find the value where your app doesn't crash, but also where it's cost effective. For me, these values work. And I think for a simple app, you can always start off with something like this and then preview and test and then see where it goes from there. Speaking of preview, as you're creating a template, we're going through the submission process. But if you were building this like testing locally, you would just take exactly the steps that we went through just now. And instead of sending it for review, wait, let me just quickly review it. All right. Okay, so my template is successfully submitted for review. What happens here is that it's going to take 2 days, turn around 2 to 3 days, where someone is going to test, check, QA whether this application works, and then you get an email notification whether it's been approved or not. If it hasn't, you're going to get a message, and then we start the review cycle. Now, let's go into the development process. If you were building this and you are not sure if it runs on our platform, you have the ability to preview the template. So let me come over here to my templates. Okay, and the one we created is this one. I mean, both of them. And you have a few chances to deploy your template. If you're not sure, this is what we wrote. Here's overview, use cases, and then the YAML. If you're not sure if it works or not, you can click deploy preview, and this will deploy your application for, I think, 10 minutes. You can also modify these values. And when ready, I'm going to hit deploy. Okay, and my deploy is going on the left. When it's ready, it's going to turn green. Okay, looks good. Then I just clicked into it. And then now I can click the endpoint to view my deployment. Okay, so voila, this is the entire application, starting from code to locally building it in Docker to publicly building it Docker to submitting it to NodeOps, and now it is living. My app is living on NodeOps DPN infrastructure. So just like before, I can say walk the dog, eat lunch, and take a nap. All right. So this is everything. This is everything you need to win the hackathon. I hope you build really cool projects, whether it's AI, DeFi, creative tooling, or anything in between. If it's a cool project with really good documentation, wait, let me switch to something cool. Okay, so let's close off. We've gone through all of the steps on how to create your Docker image, as well as how to submit it to the NodeOps marketplace. And we briefly went through documentations. So like I said, the winning key is how good you document your app. You're going to need, you're going to be judged heavily on like how functional your app is, of course, how useful it is, the pizzazz. But most importantly, I think the judgment call is going to come from like how clear your application is. If it's not clear, then no one's going to know how to use it, and things just get lost in translation. So just to summarize everything, this hackathon runs from October 1st to October 31st. It is a 4-week hackathon. Winners will be announced in November in Argentina. And then if you are looking for like ideas for projects, or you are looking for a team member, I highly suggest you go to, let's see, where is it? We have builders channels. One second. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag. So what I'm pulling up now are QR codes to join the builders channels. We have 2. While that's coming up, I'm going to show it on the top left. There's the Telegram channel over here. And then there's also a screenshot that. And then there's also a Discord channel over here. So the Discord channel is a lot more lively, but both are being monitored by NodeOps staff. And then you can come in, introduce yourself, say that you're participating in the virtual hackathon, you're looking for a teammate, and ask what will be what you, if you don't know what you want to build, you can ask what we want to see. There are suggestions. If you go into, where is it? Hackathon. If you're out of ideas, you can also come over here, and under ideas, there's an idea tab. There are a few ideas. Generally, if you're interested, you can upvote, downvote. You can also scroll through and see if there's anything that makes sense that you want to build. So this may jog, some juices, and see if it's something you're interested in trying out. Again, you can also join a team. But I highly recommend you come in and check out the Discord channel. Okay, I think that's everything. Make sure. Let's close up this this live stream. So good luck. Join the Discord channel, join the Telegram channel, subscribe to our Twitter, Build on NodeOps, as well as our YouTube, where we have posted documentations and guides, video guides on how to build on NodeOps. So scan that QR code to sign up, and that's it.